Well, we're happy to have Venerable An Minh here today. I met him a couple months ago at a wedding. It wasn't his. And he's going to be speaking to us about the 6 Paramitas. So in Theravada Buddhism there are 10, in Mahayana there are 6. And he lives and works at a temple in San Gabriel. And he was been ordained for...
well, since I was 20, so since 2006.
2006 he's been ordained. He's and he was born in America.
Yes.
So he speaks fluent English, which is good for me, because that's all I speak. And we're happy to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Venerable Kusala. Thank you very much, Venerable. Should I just...
Yeah.
That's a lot easier.
The water in the back.
Oh no, I'm good for now. Thank you. Well, just a little bit of my my background. I entered the temple at the age of 7, and as a trainee, it's because when I was younger, I watched this Chinese series called Journey to the West about the Monkey King, and as a 7-year-old kid, I always wanted to have supernatural powers. You know, being my idol, with Superman being my idol, you know, as a superhero comic. When I watched this series, I said, oh, I really want to have supernatural powers. And so I went to go talk to my master, and he said, I really want to have supernatural powers. And he laughed and he said, you can have supernatural powers if you become a monk and you practice Buddhism. So at the age of 7, I told my parents I want to become a monk, so I can one day achieve supernatural powers. And my mom and dad didn't allow me, because being at 7 years old, they thought that I didn't know anything. But they did allow me to be at the temple from 7 until 14. And then at 14 again, I asked my parents that I want to become a monk. This time, obviously, it wasn't because of supernatural powers, because I started to understand the lifestyle of a monk and how what we do is we benefit the lives of many people, millions of people, all across the globe with the teachings of the Buddha. And I told my parents I want to become a monk. And at the age of 14, they allowed me to shave my head. So at the age of 14, I became a monk. At the age of 16, I took the Bodhisattva vows to have the brown robe. At the age of 18, I got my Sharamana vows. And then at the age of 20 is when I got my bhikkhu ordination. And it was at Bodhgaya, India, and I was able to receive my ordination. And from then on out, it has been a journey. And the journey so far, I've learned the fundamentals of Buddhism. And what today is, I want to share with you my experiences of the 6 Paramitas. And please, I told Venerable Kusala, please do not expect some high scholarly up in the clouds talk about the 6 Paramitas. I could go down that route, but then none of us would understand what we're talking about. But what I am going to explain to you is my experiences of the 6 Paramitas and how we apply it in our everyday life, so we can achieve the mindset of enlightenment that the Buddha intended us to achieve. And so the thing is about the 6 Paramitas is, first is, the reason why I chose and I practice the 6 Paramitas is that we as humans, the reason why we're in this world is because of greed, anger, and ignorance. It's called the 3 poisons. And the 3 poisons, as humans, we have 1/3 anger, 1/3 greed, 1/3 ignorance within our own mind. It's what makes us human. If we have overwhelmingly a large amount of ignorance, then we're reborn into what we call the animal world. The animal world is highly ignorant. They're intelligent. A dog can be intelligent, they can hear your commands, but they're still ignorant. Ignorant why? Because they don't understand the laws of cause and effect. A cat sees a mouse, it will kill the mouse, because their body is designed to kill. It's designed to be a predator. And when they see something that it doesn't like, it'll chase it, it'll kill it. And even though they kill it, they consciously know it, or they do not consciously know it. The laws of karma applies to them negatively. If you have an overly large amount of greed in your mind, then you're reborn into what you call the hungry ghost realm. And in the hungry ghost realm, the Buddha said that in this realm, the beings have a large stomach, it has a thin neck. Whatever touches this mouth, depending on the karma, will burst into flames, burst into ice, burst into something. But because of their overly large amount of greed in their mind, they are rewarded to this world called the animal world, or the hungry ghost realm. If you have a large amount of anger, you'd be born into what you call the Atula realm, the jealous god realms. In this realm, they're in constant war, constant conflict. Just think of, ISIS and how they're just killing everyone. Something that they're motivated by large amount of anger. So imagine a world, a realm, just strictly because of that. And that's called the Atula realm or the jealous god realm. Now, if you're just overallly just bad in general, then you're reborn into what you call hell. And so those are the three realms, the four lower realms. Then there's our realm, the human realm, and then there's the God realm. So there's 6 realms in total. And the reason why I brought this up is because the reason why we're here, like I said, is because of greed, anger, and ignorance. And the Buddha said if we remove greed, anger, and ignorance from our own mind, then we elevate into a higher state of consciousness, enlightenment. And the reason why the 6 Paramitas plays a highly critical role is because inside the 6 Paramitas, there are 3 remedies for greed, anger, and ignorance. First one is generosity. Generosity is the art of giving. Now, the Buddha taught there are 3 types of giving in this world. The first type of giving is material giving. That is, if you see someone fall down, you help them up. Someone's hungry, you give them food. Someone's sick, you give them medicine. Someone's thirsty, you give them water. Someone's struggling financially, you give them money. When you give any of those material things, in return, you receive what you call good karma, good merit, good deed. The second type of giving is the giving of fearlessness. That is, if you see someone's afraid, then you provide a sense of emotional shelter, or a sense of relief that they shouldn't be scared, they shouldn't be afraid. And it's a gift of fearlessness where you understand how they are, who they are, and say whatever you can. You massage the heart even before you ask for their hand. By doing so, you give them a sense of shelter, a sense of relief, refuge, if you can say, from the sense of fear that they're experiencing. The third type of giving is Dharma giving. Now, Dharma giving is the most important of the giving. They say that you can give a man a fish you can eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. Teaching someone Dharma is not just, hey, the laws of cause and effect is, whatever action has a reaction. Of course, that's Dharma giving. But Dharma giving goes a little bit further than that. When you see someone angry, what do? Do you become angry back? When someone's yell at you, or they become upset at you, or they curse out at you, do you curse back? Or do you realize that whatever they're experiencing in their own mind is how they represent themselves verbally, or through their own actions? When someone yells at you, how do you respond? Now, as a Buddhist, we should respond in a more compassionate way, because we understand how people treat you based on how they feel about themselves. If someone's feeling all positive and happy about themselves, then obviously they're going to express words of positivity, encouragement, inspiration. Someone's feeling negative about themselves, that finding inspiration or positive words in their own mind is very positive. It's not probable, because their mind is filled with negativity. For them to express positivity, it's a contradiction. So when someone's become upset at you and they yell at you, how do you respond back? And so we have to first practice generosity. Because generosity here opens the heart up to what you call compassion. And when you have compassion in your life, when you start to practice compassion, your heart is your mind is overwhelmingly filled with positivity. Like the sun. The sun is a great example because in all 10 directions, or infinite directions actually, that the sun rays are coming out. That the sun doesn't just shine at one spot and say, I'm going to shine here and shine less over there. Or it doesn't say that I'm going to shine here, and I'm not going to shine here. The sun is shining in all directions, in infinite directions. And our compassion that we should practice as art of generosity should be the same way as the sun. We should not discriminate who we care or who we love. We should love every single sentient beings, all animals, everyone, in all race, ethnicities whatsoever, in any possible way we can. And then the reason why I start out with generosity now is very important, because what we see around the world is a lack of compassion. The attack over in Paris is just one of many attacks that happened within the countless attacks within the last years. But we focus on Paris because we think, or society thinks, that it's one of those places that should never be touched. But when we talk about Syria, we talk about, or any country in the Middle East, oh, they're bombing each other. In our minds, we think it's normal. But in reality, we're all human. And in practicing compassion in today's time is very, very important. We should learn how to give back instead of take. We should learn how to lift up instead of condescend. Instead of destruction, we should learn how to construct each other, love each other. And in practicing those three givings, the giving of material goods, giving of fearlessness, or giving of Dharma. Teaching them that in their sense of anger, that is the best time to practice meditation. During the time of greed is the best time for meditation. During the time for ignorance is the best time for meditation. Because it doesn't focus us on looking on the outside, but we start to focus on what's on the inside. And when we focus on the inside, we can help others on the outside. It all starts with us first. But what do we start? How do we do it? Like I said, it all starts with us first. Learn how to give. And I always tell little kids, they don't have a lot, but they do have cents. They do have $1. If they're lucky, they have a $20 bill. But I'm not expecting them to donate a $20 bill. I'm not even expecting them to donate $10 bills or even $5. But $1, it's important. And I always say to the little kids, practice giving $1. $1 doesn't seem much, but it holds a lot. How so? The laws of cause and effect puts into motion. When you practice generosity, it doesn't matter what monetary value you donate. It is at that moment in time, how does your mind feel when you donate? When you have $1, the laws of cause and effect does not know the difference between a $1 bill or a $100 bill. The laws of cause and effect just see paper. You can have $1, or you can have $100. And in that moment in time, when you donate that $100, you give it to that person, even though it's $100. But in your mind, you're like, oh man, I could just pay gas for that. Oh, I could just pay my bills with that. I could. You have the sense of, what's a good word? That's not offensive. Like cheap. I can't think of another word, but just use that word. But in that moment in time when you give it, and you sense like, oh, you don't feel good about it, there's no value to what you just gave. The laws of cause and effect sees that, and it doesn't, you can say, bless you with abundance. Whereas if you have a $1 bill, you might not hold any attachment to this $1 bill, because it's such a small value. A value that we as humanity, as mankind, place upon. But when you give that $1 bill, and in that moment in time when you're giving, and you say that with this $1 bill, I hope that you can buy a meal for you. You can buy something for your family. Or I hope that this $1 bill will help you change some way about your day. That it'll bring you some form of good into your life. Even if you give that $1 bill, the laws of cause and effect will see that action. Not only in that action, but that mindset of when you're giving. Then the laws of cause and effect will bless you with abundance. And the reason why I say that with confidence is because I've done this with myself ever since I was younger. When I was a little boy, my mom taught me to always give back to those less fortunate. One time in my life, we went to this temple over in Las Vegas. It wasn't in the strip. It was around like 5-6 miles away from the strip. Very, very small, smaller than the center. It was an abbot monk. He was probably around like 40 at the time, 45. And my mom said, she gave me a $5 bill. She said that, go give money, put it into the donation box. I said, okay. So I went to go put it in the donation box. Around an hour later, after we ate lunch there, the abbot came out. And he talked to me. And he said, oh, what is your name? And I said, oh, at that time my name was Tony. Oh, hi, my name is Tony. Oh, Tony, you're how old are you? I think around 7 or 8 years old. And he said, oh, you're so good to come to the temple. And then he reached into his pocket and he gave me an envelope. And I opened up the envelope and there was $30. And so I remember my mom said that if you give, you always receive. And that was the first lesson I can remember, where I gave $5 and I got $30 back. So it was a return, a high definite return of interest. But the reason why I share this story, just to break the ice of generosity, is that it doesn't matter what amount you give. Is that we should learn how to teach others to give back, no matter what they can. And I always throw, if you live in a house, and inside your house has a refrigerator, inside the refrigerator has food, you're better off than 73% of the people around the world. Because 73% of people around the world right now do not have a house, do not have a refrigerator, they definitely do not have food inside their refrigerators. And so if you have those things, you should learn how to be grateful. When you practice being grateful, you learn how to practice compassion and look at other people on how you can help them in any possible way that you can. And with $1 giving back, it'll change your life tremendously. But most importantly, why generosity is very important is because generosity is the opposite of greed. One of the 3 poisons inside our own mind. We practice generosity, we learn how to pull greed from our own mind. And that frees us from greed, anger, and ignorance. Second one is morality. Now, very important that we practice morality. Because the 3 do you know how to become a Buddha? Anyone here knows how to become enlightened? What are the prerequisites for enlightenment? I call them, they have many names, but for me to understand and teach others, I call it the 3 foundations. The 3 foundations to becoming enlightened is, in Sanskrit, I think, is Sila, right? Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Sila is the precepts, morality, self-control. Second is Samadhi, which is concentration of mind. Third one is Panya, which is wisdom. Now, second one is morality. First one is generosity of the paramita. Second paramita is morality, the sila part. Sila here is, as monks, as a Buddhist monk, I hold 250 precepts. As Buddhist laymen or laywomen, depending if you're Bodhisattva vows or just regular laymen or laywomen, lay people, you hold 5 precepts. 1, do not kill. 2, do not steal. 3, do not commit sexual misconduct. 4, no lying or false speech. 5, no intoxicants. And when we understand the reason why we do this, it's because when the Buddha taught morality, he understood the laws of cause and effect, and how the laws of cause and effect governs everything that we do. This fabric of existence, this space and time that we see here, is the laws of cause and effect. Actually, the laws of cause and effect and the laws of cause and condition both come together, create this fabric of existence we see here. Everything that you see here, from all the plants, from all the trees, from this house, from all the material things that you see, are all from cause and effect. Whatever the cause is, the condition comes together, there is an effect to it. You do good, good things will come to you. You do bad, bad things will come to you. And so when we practice sila, when we practice the precepts, the Buddha understands the laws of cause and effect. And the laws of cause and effect governs three different layers. It governs the mind layer, the speech layer, and the action layer. From the mind layer, whatever you think, thoughts become words and become action. And so when we understand thoughts become words and become action, the laws of cause and effect governs three different layers. And so when we practice no killing, we might think of, grabbing a knife and killing someone, or something, or an animal. But in man's law, when we commit the crime, that's the punishment. There is a punishment to it. But in the natural laws of cause and effect, thinking about killing someone, or something, or committing a heinous crime when it involves killing, then there is already negative karma, or unwholesome action. And so, when the Buddha implemented the sila part, it's to help us align ourselves to walk a straight path. He understands that each and every one of us have the potential to become a Buddha. That we all have the potential to enlighten ourselves. With the help of others or by our own actions, we can achieve enlightenment. And if we stray off and we start to kill animals, or we start to kill others, or we start to harm others, or we start to steal from others, or we start to rape or something others, using speech to destroy others, or just intoxicating your mind to commit all four acts all at one time, it's not going to help us achieve enlightenment. So precepts are not commandments. They're guidelines. They're fences to keep us in the straight path. As Buddhist monks, Buddhist nuns, laymen, or lay women, we all go down the path towards enlightenment if we choose to. It's like a freeway. Now, Venerables, Kusala and I, and Venerable, what was your name? Vinita. If all three of us were on the freeway, but we might be in the carpooling, we're going a little bit faster than you guys. It's because we exclude ourselves from all the worldly possessions, the worldly gains, the monetary value, all that, to practice enlightenment. But that doesn't mean that we're not going in the same direction. You might be on the slower lane, but practicing sila will help us go down the right path without straying out. So it's very important that we practice sila, because sila, or precepts, self-control, or like self-awareness, being in control of ourselves, it lays out the foundation and the prerequisites for concentration of mind. And I'll go into concentration of mind later. So it's very important that we practice morality. Very, very important. To understand, to do not kill, or think of killing. Do not steal, or think of stealing. Or be happy when you see others steal. Or rejoice when someone discussing about stealing. No sexual misconduct. We wouldn't like it if someone kills someone that we know, or kill someone we like. We don't like it if someone steals from someone we know, or steal from us. We don't like it if someone rapes someone in our family, or any of that, or steal our girlfriend or boyfriend, or commit adultery, or all that. So we wouldn't do it to other people. And do not no lying, or using false speech, double-edged words. Like, if I don't like you, I talk to you how bad about him, and we just like start to create a discord and conflict from just words, or no lying, or using words to destroy others, condescend on others. But you have to use your words to help others, inspire others. And lastly is to know intoxicants. And when you have intoxicants, there's a story that there's one time, and this monk was walking, and he was thirsty, and he went into this, he saw his house, and he was thirsty, he wanted to ask for water, and there was no water, there was no one left to be found, and so he found this jar that had alcohol. And so to quench his thirst, he drank from this jar alcohol, and he got really drunk. And then he saw this chicken, he got really hungry, so he killed this chicken. right, to eat the chicken, and then this lady came out and she said, like, you took my chicken. He said, I didn't take your chicken. So he killed and he lied, and he saw this beautiful woman. He got really, really, into her, and he started to commit rape towards her. And so from that, from just drinking alcohol itself, he committed, he lied, he stole, and he raped. And there was one more. No killing, no stealing.
Right.
No lying, no lying. And so the Buddha always taught us the mind is everything. What we think, we become. And so when we start to cloud our judgment with intoxicants, in any form of intoxicants, then it stops us from the most important thing, is to develop wisdom. Because to develop wisdom, you need to have a clear mind, a concentration of mind. And then I'll go into concentration of mind in a bit. So the first paramita is generosity. Second is morality. Third one is effort. Always have effort. Now, the reason why effort is very important, right effort, is we all know, and we're approaching December, and January is going to come around soon. And as Americans, we have this great idea about resolutions. And that once January 1st comes around, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I am going to read a book every month. I am going to exercise every single day. I'll drink more water. I am going to be a better person. We all have all this long list of resolutions, and it's great intention. But to follow through is what's important. To follow through it takes discipline. Discipline comes from effort. Right effort is very important. Because right effort puts your concept of what you have in your own mind, the vision that you have, into a reality. In any successful book that you want to read, in any entrepreneurial book, there's always that take action. Action brings success. Actions brings result. And this action can bring result in any form of what you want. Wealth, or in Buddhist term, enlightenment. We all know how to lose weight. Eat half of what you're eating, drink more water, and run a mile every day. We can do it. One of us can do it. But it takes discipline. Consistent work every single day to run a mile, to eat less, drink more water. Then you'll see a consistent losing weight. Now, the reason why we're in this world is because of what? Greed, anger, and ignorance. Now think of it this way. We're all on this little canoe, or this little kayak. And on this kayak, you're on this river. At the end of this river, right there, is the waterfall. Now, if you don't paddle, the water is going to sweep you away, and you're going to fall off the waterfall. The water here represents greed, anger, and ignorance in the world that we live in. Sadly, we live in a very, very negative world. The corporations are motivated by greed, hate groups motivated by ignorance, and from all those stems from ignorance. Prejudice and all that stems from ignorance. And so in the world that we live in, sadly, is a very negative world. And greed, anger, and ignorance all around us. Now, in this canoe, the canoe represents the Dharma. Whether you want to practice it or not, it's up to you. When you're rowing your boat, right effort here comes from rowing the boat consistently. Not rowing your boat 5 minutes, taking a break. Not rowing your boat for a day and then taking a break for the next month. It doesn't work that way. Enlightenment is a consistent pursuing, walking the path, never staying still. When you're rowing your boat, the practice here is that the minute you stop rowing your boat, the water is going to sweep you away and you're going to fall off the waterfall. So you have to consistently row your boat to go from where you are upstream. Upstream against the current of ignorance, against the current of greed, and against the current of anger. We have to understand that. Because the minute we in our mind we lay off and we just lay back, is when it starts to, our mind starts to become effective. The Buddha said, protect the roof of the house, then the water will not seep through. The same way works with your mind. Protect your mind, your mindset. Because the minute you stop protecting your mindset, is the minute greed, anger, and ignorance will start to seep through. Run out during the fog with a dry sweater or a dry shirt. Half an hour comes back, you'll see that shirt will become wet. Even though it's not raining, the mildew or the condensations will start to absorb through the shirt. You'll start to have a wet shirt. You start to hang out with negative people. You start to hang out with bad friends. No matter how positive you are, their actions and the environment that you're in will start to seep in through your own mind. So, we have 10 minutes? Okay. I have 10 minutes to go through 3 more, so okay, let's do it. So, I talked about effort, so we gotta have consistent effort. Patience is most important here, because patience is the opposite of anger. Now, like I said, we understand how people treat you based on how they feel about themselves. So when someone says something bad to you, do not become angry. Practice patience at that time, because patience at that time is most important. When you start to practice patience in the midst of anger, breathe in and out, you start to see the anger start to disappear. The Buddha taught the laws of impermanence. Anything that arises will eventually have to pass away. Anger arises in your own mind, eventually only have to pass away. Now, patience here, it goes in line with concentration of mind. Now, concentration of mind is the second prerequisite of enlightenment. Now, when you were meditating earlier, you understand what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure many of you were thinking, what am I going to do later? What am I going to eat later? Man, this meditation session is so long. You start to think about these things. That's not concentration of mind. Concentration of mind is using an anchor point, depending on what meditation you practice. For me, it's Anapana meditation, which is observing the breath in and observing the breath out, and using a form of meditation that you can to control your mind, to center your mind. Because your mind is like a snow globe being shaken up. Flakes are going everywhere. Your mind is thinking about all these things. But the minute you start to practice a form of meditation, center your mind in just an anchor point, it helps your mind settles down, like putting a snow globe down and not touch it for 5 minutes. So when it starts to slow down, it starts to settle down, you start to observe the phenomenon that's going on within the framework of your own mind. You see that greed, anger, and ignorance only arises. All these things arises, but when you do not act upon it, when you practice mindfulness, when you have that space between sensation that arises and their form of action or reaction, that space that from a sensation that arises to the point you react to it, that space in there is called mindfulness. The more you practice meditation, the more you expand the sense of mindfulness within your own mind. And so when you have this mindfulness within your own mind, you start to, what's that word I'm looking for? Respond instead of react. We're all prisoners of our own habitual patterns. From everything that you've done from the minute you were born until now are all habits. Whether it's positive habits or negative habits, they're all formed by your own actions. And so when we have mindfulness within our own mind, we start to observe our mind, and we see that greed, anger, and ignorance always comes up in our own mind. Whether we choose to act upon it, it's up to you. But when you have mindfulness, we start to respond more positively. When someone says something bad to you, you're not good enough, do you become angry? Anger comes from your own mind, and even though you don't have to say anything, your blood pressure rises, your breathing starts to become heavy, you start to sweat. Forms of subconscious ways of showing that you're angry. But when you start to practice mindfulness, someone says you're not good enough, you practice patience. You see that. You start to observe your breath in and out. Anger only arises, eventually have to pass away. And when it passes away, you start to give back, practice generosity. You know, my friend, you shouldn't become angry like that. You should practice meditation. You should just breathe in and out. Instead of expressing your anger at me, learn how to control what's going on in your own mind, and you start to remove anger from your life. That's practicing patience. That's practicing concentration of mind at the same time. But when you start to observe your breath, it leads to the it leads to the final paramita, which is wisdom, developing wisdom. Now, each and every one of us have what you call this Buddha nature. Now imagine this is the Buddha nature. Now it's all covered in greed, anger, and ignorance. Greed, anger, and ignorance, covering up what you have, this Buddha nature, this potential for us to become a Buddha. When greed arises, it arises in our own mind. We see it, we observe it. Whether I choose to react upon it is up to me. But when I practice mindfulness, I see greed arises, I practice what you call equanimity. Just observe it without judgment. And I see it. Anything that arises will eventually have to pass away. Anger arises in my mind. Now, I choose not to react upon it, because if I react upon it, I just add on to the layer. But if I observe it in my own subconscious mind, and it arises, I observe it, I apply the laws of impermanence. So without judgment, it arises only to pass away. Anger arises only to pass away. Ignorance arises only to pass away. So like a onion, when you start to peel away all the layers, where do you get to? The core. That itself is the Buddha nature. The more we practice meditation, or any form of enlightenment, mantras, meditation, chanting, Pure Land Buddha reiterations, many forms. There are 84,000 ways to become enlightened. Now any meditation or any practice that you choose all have the foundations of sila, samadhi, and panya. It all has self-control or morality. It all has concentration of mind, and it all has developing wisdom. When you develop wisdom in your own mind, you see the world as it is. You see the world's constantly changing. You see the laws of cause and effect. You see that the laws of cause and condition is the opposite of the laws of impermanence. Things that come together through conditions will eventually have to pass away by laws of impermanence. And when we understand that, we see the world as it is, we start to apply it within our own mind. You do not have to go anywhere far. You observe what's inside. When we start to observe what's inside, you start to change from the inside. You change things from the inside on the outside, it will change for you. Because why? Everything around us is energy, frequencies and vibrations. When we start to see the world as energy, we start to see things a little bit differently. Look into my hand, you see just regular hand. Using a microscope, you see cells. Look into a cells, you see molecules. Look into a molecule, you see atom. Look into an atom, you see electrons, protons, and neutrons. They're all energy. Look at my hand here, it stands still, but in reality it's not. Because energy does not stay still. Nature does not stay still. It's constantly changing. My hand is constantly changing. I might not see it because visually, with my own eyes, I cannot see it. But with the help of a microscope, I see that energy is constantly moving. The laws of impermanence constantly moving. Once you understand the laws of impermanence, you do not attach yourself to what the ego, the I, the social master we created. So when someone says that you're not good enough, they're only saying it to your own ego, but your ego is just something that you created in your own mind. So when you start to practice patience, you start to see what's most important is the Buddha nature. The ego is just something that we created to adapt in this society, but in reality it doesn't exist. There is no self. There is no self because when we start to attach ourselves to the self, concept of a self, then it will only bring us more anger, more greed, and more ignorance. Because those are the figments of our mental development. But when we start to see the Buddha nature, and that our Buddha nature is covered by greed, anger, and ignorance, we have to remove greed, anger, and ignorance. That's why when I chose to share with you the concept of the 6 Paramitas, it's something that we can practice every single day. meditation is not just for sitting here for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Meditation is just a way for us to develop our mind so we can practice it anywhere that we go. When we're driving, it's a great way. Turn off your music, turn off whatever that you're listening to, and then drive in silence. It's a great way for you to breathe in and breathe out. Concentration of mind when you're driving. Or when you just park 5 minutes before work, meditate in your parking lot. Before you go to sleep. It's a way for us to practice meditation, not just sitting, but to apply meditation wherever you are. And no matter who you deal with. Your peace of mind in your own mind is most important. As a leader, or anything that you do, having peace of mind or having clarity in your own mind will help you see not just in front of you, but 10 steps in front of you, 100 steps in front of you. One of my mentors, when I was younger, he said that in order for you to build a successful business, you shouldn't see just in front of you. You shouldn't see 10 steps in front of you. You have to see 1,000 steps in front of you. And I said, I can't even see right in front of me. How can you expect me to have 1,000 steps? But that's how it should be. When we start to have concentration of mind, it doesn't just help us to achieve enlightenment. It helps us see things the way it is. And when people deal with us negatively, we start to see things as it is. We don't attach to what they say to us. But in reality, we see from their own actions how their state of mind is. Why? Thoughts become words that become action. Any action that you do, follow the words you say. The words you say not only to other people, but the words you say to yourself. And the words you say to yourself comes from your own thoughts, from your own mind. So when you see someone negative, it's because they have something against you, but in reality, they have something against themselves. As Buddhists, we should practice generosity, to always help those relieve themselves from the pain of their own mind. Fear, you help them through a giving of fearlessness. Anger, you help them understand patience. Greed, you help them understand generosity. Ignorance, you help them understand how to develop wisdom. How do you develop wisdom? Concentration of mind. Morality. It all ties together. So when the 6 paramita is not just in an order, in reality it's a very intricate web. And it can start at any of the points, or it's minus wisdom. But you can start with patience first. You can start with generosity first. You can start with effort first. You can start with any of that first. But it all ties together. It all ties together in that wherever you want to do, how you ever want to achieve enlightenment, you have to first start with yourself first. Start seeing things in your own mind. Correct it by practicing morality. Constantly practice it through right effort. If you want to start a fire with woods and stick, you don't rub stick for 5 minutes and stop, and then do another 10 minutes and stop, and then another 5 minutes and stop. No. You do it with all blood, sweats, and tears until you see some form of smoke. And you continue to do it until you see some form of spark. And you do it until it creates some form of ember. And you use that ember to use it to light whatever fire you want. It's consistent. Practicing, developing the mind to achieve enlightenment takes that same dedication as well. And so I hope that this simple talk will help you understand that practicing Buddhism is not escaping into some monastery and dedicating your time there. You could do that if you want to be traditional. But the way that we're approaching life now in this era is a very, very, very fast-paced environment. And Buddhism has to adapt to this fast-paced environment. But the beauty about Buddhism is no matter what year it is, and you can be year 4000, and super advanced, high technological, everything's all hologram, and you can teleport, the laws of cause and effect will still apply. Greed, anger, and ignorance will still be in the minds of humans. And whether it's you have a cyborg arm or something, or a regular arm, to achieve enlightenment still takes the same sila, samadhi, and panya to remove greed, anger, and ignorance from the mind. And I hope that we all take meditation, not just in this room, but consistently applied no matter what you do. Driving, working, studying, exercising, whatever you do, meditation can be applied. Because once you start to understand meditation is not just a sitting practice, but it's an overall practice, a lifestyle, you see that concentration of mind or peace of mind will come to you very easily. And once you have peace of mind all the time, you develop wisdom and you see things the way it is. And when you start to see things the way it is, you don't attach yourself to greed anymore, but you learn how to give back. When you start to develop wisdom, you don't attach yourself to anger anymore, but you learn how to practice patience. When you see things the way it is through wisdom, you start to help others understand this concept as well. And it's like a fire. You burn a fire within you, like a candle. Through your own candle, you can light up one candle. Through your own candle, you can light up 3 candles. For your own candle, you can light up 10 candles, 100 candles, 1,000 candles, 1,000,000 candles. So light your own candle through your own self-practice and share your flame, your candle, with other people. And so I hope you enjoy the talk.